Hello and welcome back to my channel with a new video. This is Nora and that's my cat Sushi. Say hi. Okay, she doesn't want to say hi. Excuse my scar today. This is when you have cats. Today's topic is a bit, maybe it's a bit different than usual. It's about being raised in the Middle East, specifically in Lebanon. As a girl, there's a lot of misconception and misunderstanding about how girls, especially, not general people, but especially girls, women, how they are raised in the Middle East. And a lot of people think it's this very specific way, but the Middle East is very huge. There's so many countries in the Middle East. And of course, Lebanon is going to be very different than Jordan. It's going to be very different than Iraq, than Syria. So what I'm going to say now is not typically all the Middle East, but specifically in Lebanon. And of course, not all Lebanese women are gonna have the same experience as me, but I'm gonna tell you what I saw and what I experienced myself. And you have to put into consideration that Lebanon is maybe the least conservative country in the Middle East. So it might be a bit close-ish to the West, a bit close, but not really. But it's not as conservative as maybe Syria or other countries, or maybe other Arab countries. It's not that conservative. Some people consider it as a negative thing. Some people like that we're more open. So first of all, as a girl, I was raised with two brothers, so I can tell the difference of how my parents raised me versus my brothers. I had a point of comparison. I knew how my mom treated my brothers versus me, and there was few differences. I think in a lot of ways we were kind of the same. I think maybe specifically my mom was not too, she didn't like to have that much difference between raising between all us three, but of course the girl is gonna be a bit different. What I noticed, the biggest difference is that she's more protective of me. And I think this is in general a rule in the Middle East. People are very protective to their girl, and a lot of parents are scared that someone's gonna hurt their girl. So there are different rules with treating a woman, a girl, versus treating a boy. And a lot of that consists of maybe dressing up a bit different, not going to specific places that are for men, not staying out too late. And yeah, I kind of support those rules. I know that in the West, you have that movement of, feminism. I'm a feminist, but not to the extreme that people do it in here. I think there's always should be limits and boundaries, and I think women are very, let's be honest, women are not as strong as men. It's way easier to hurt a woman versus hurting a man, and girls are a target usually. Yes, some men can be evil. There's always going to be exception. This, like I said, I don't think you can control every single man out there, and I don't think any parent is teaching their boy to be a, but there's always going to be one or two, and it's always better to be extra careful and not to put yourself in dangerous situations. And I think a lot of the people in the West forget that there is always bad people, always exceptions, always a chance that you might get assaulted. And it's very important to keep remembering that. I think my mom was very careful with me that I shouldn't put myself in bad situations. Means I shouldn't really stay out too late, maybe till 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. outside alone. I shouldn't dress very, provocatively. I know that a lot of people in the West won't like that, but when I was a kid, I wasn't a big fan of this, let me tell you this. But when I came to the US, I I noticed that it is true, you like it or not. Especially in New York, men are savages. I'm sorry, like, people here will just whistle or cat call you, or and the what I notice, if I wear long sleeves or like a longer skirt, that won't happen a lot. But when I wear shorter skirts or something like that, it's way more than usual. And now I do it without even noticing. And of course, it is wrong, but that's how it is. That's reality. That you're always gonna have the chance that someone will assault you or catcall you or make a comment. Like literally 3 days ago, someone grabbed my arm. I really thought they're gonna hurt me. It was a man, and I really didn't know what to do. I felt like I was very vulnerable at that point because he's a very tall man, and I think why he let go of me, because I was not yelling, but I raised my voice and a lot of people were looking at us. And I think if it was in the middle of the night, he wouldn't have let go. So the more I grew up, the more I noticed this, that those rules were made to protect me and my well-being. And a lot of people in the West will be like, but this is now not our responsibility how men behave, and it is not. It's not fair, but that's how it is. And I think people in the Middle East are a bit more aware of this, and they're really scared that someone might hurt their girls or their women. So it'll be like, hey, try not to wear very short skirts, try not to, show a lot of hair. And there are a lot of people who are very liberal with how they wear in Lebanon, and I'm kind of like that. I don't wear hijab for sure. I show my arms. But I think you can be... I'm not very provocative with how I wear it. It's not like it's very tight or I'm showing this area or... And I think at least I can do that to protect myself, and that's how I was raised. My mom was not very controlling of what I wore, but at least to not be extra, At least like have some limits. You can't wear whatever you want, and I think a lot of girls are taught that way in Lebanon. Like, wear whatever you want, but there's always limits. And I think in the West, those limits are being blurred, and a lot of girls are wearing really what they want. They can just go out wearing a bra, whereas in Lebanon, you're barely gonna see that. Women are not gonna go out with a bralette on, just a bralette and, shorts. You're gonna see that, but very rarely, and it's gonna differ from neighborhood to neighborhood. The neighborhood I was raised in is but it's pretty conservative, and when I get back there, I actually wear a bit more conservative because people will look at you strangely. They'll be like, why is she wearing that? Because it's not normal to see. There's always going to be parents who are going to tell their daughters wear hijab, but it's not really common. I don't think it's really common for parents to force their daughters to wear. I've seen a few cases, but it's not as common as other places in the Middle East. I personally think it doesn't make sense to force your child to do anything, especially when it comes to religion, because it has to come from your belief. And it's really useless to do it and you're not convinced. My mom did not force anything on me. She did not force me to pray. She did not force me to fast. She did not force me to wear specific things. It came all naturally. And I think a lot of girls are also, I'm talking about Muslims in general, and even Christians. I don't think anyone is forcing anyone to think a certain way for girls. So education, I was completely treated like my brothers. And I think that's mostly everyone in Lebanon. Lebanese people in general, I said it many times before, they love education. They love educating their child, and they're not gonna let their child, you know, pay for it. They're gonna pay the everything themselves. And even if they're gonna go on debt, they're gonna pay it for you. They're gonna go above and beyond for you to get that education, unless really like they're gonna die from poverty. But they're gonna try their hardest for their kids, and if it is men or females, if it is you know, if it is girls or boys, they're gonna try to get you that education. And I was never treated differently from my brothers. I was always encouraged to get my education. My dad really wanted me to get my master's degree, but I decided otherwise because I didn't feel like it will get me anywhere in my career. Let me tell you, he really sometimes even pushed me. Like, there's that culture in Lebanon, they're gonna push their kids. And being a girl or a woman will not be any different. You're gonna be pushed to get your education. At some point, my dad really wanted me to be a doctor. The only reason I didn't become a doctor like my brother, I just didn't want it. I didn't want that life. I've seen how many years it required, and I've seen how much money you need to spend. I didn't want to put my dad into it again. Plus, it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Even my mom, same with my mom. And same with everyone really that I've met personally. I can't speak of all Lebanese, but I think I'm speaking of a big number here. And everyone, all the girls that I've met, their parents push them to educate themselves. How much, even if you're like super religious, if you're like super Muslim, they still want you to get your education. And I think there's this misconception that if someone is super Muslim, like very religious, like people won't push education on their girls a lot. But it's actually the opposite. And in Islam in general, it is good to continue your education. It is good to educate yourself and to have knowledge. The more knowledgeable, the better it is. I think there's always also that misconception that the Middle East, they don't love girls. And I've seen all the people in Lebanon, they would love to have girls. Let me tell you. My dad was just, he really wanted to have a girl. The second boy that he got, he was very disappointed in my mom as well. They really wanted to have a girl. And I've seen a lot of Lebanese people, they would love to have a girl. They don't have that, oh my God, we just need a boy. And there are some cultures like that. There are some Arabs like that, of course, but I don't think it is that way in Lebanon, because whatever the girl can do, a boy can do as well in Lebanon, and vice versa. I'm talking about education here, and I'm talking about work. Now a woman can do whatever she wants. She can work the same things that a guy can work in Lebanon. So they're not worried about having a girl that she won't get that post. They won't have that worried, oh, if I get a girl, she'll have a hard time and a hard life, because we don't have that in Lebanon. A girl will have the same opportunities as the guy, at least from my experience. From my experience too, I've seen a lot of women that are very disciplined. They're way more disciplined than men. Maybe it's a general thing. But usually women there are very disciplined, and sometimes they can be more successful than men. So there's not that culture that parents want the boy. We don't have that culture. Whatever it's a boy or a girl, they would love. But even more, I've seen people more that want to have girls. And even me, like if I get married one day, when I get married, to be honest, I want to have a girl. I don't see myself having any boys. I don't feel I can relate raising a boy at all. But I feel I can relate with a girl, and I've seen a lot of men that want to have girls. They love girls. My dad loved me. It's like having a girl is, you know, it's like your entire world. You know, the femininity and how vulnerable she is. They want to protect her. So I think he felt more responsible of raising me and protecting me than my brothers. And I think a lot of people in Lebanon can relate to that. Also, the culture of women, I know that feminists in here will be like, women can't do this and do that and go out and have fun and explore with their sexuality. I think that's not even a women thing. Like, in general, people, it's not encouraged to do that. Hooking up culture in general, men and women are not encouraged to do that. It's not just women. Maybe women can be, I would say maybe women can be shamed a bit more on this in Lebanon. Yes, it is a fact. But from my family, both men and women are not encouraged to do that. And I agree. I fully agree. If I have my kids, I'm not gonna go tell them hooking up or just dating around is healthy. It's bad for your mental health. I've seen people doing that, and it really takes a toll on your mental health. I've seen a lot of people sleep around and trying to explore who they are and what they like. But at the same time, I don't think people here think about the consequences that put themselves through, especially women. Let's be honest, women catch feelings faster in general. That's not a rule. There's always exceptions. But men can have that distance when maybe they have an intimate relationship with a girl. They won't have those feelings, those emotions that women will have. So I think it's way more traumatic on a woman than on a man. And I think that's why in the Middle East, in Lebanon specifically, they're very scared that a woman will go and do what she wants, because it will have very bad trauma on her. She'll have bad mental health. She won't be able to handle it as well as a man, but at the same time, it's wrong for both. I'm gonna say it. If I have a boy or a girl, I will try my hardest not for them to behave this way and to, date around. If you want to date someone, it has to be for serious reasons that you want to get married to them. And even I know a lot of people will tell me I have very conservative views, but even having sex before marriage, I don't encourage that. I've seen people sleep around with 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't need to do that. I don't think you need to do that. If you love a person that much and you get married to them, I think you'll have the time to learn and to explore each other as you want. When I was a kid, I was very tomboyish. I mean, of course, I was raised with 2 brothers. I was very tomboyish. If I was in California, let's say, and I was raised there, and my parents didn't really see what I was doing and didn't really pay attention to me, I think I would have been a transgender. I think in US, it's very easy for people now to say that if a girl enjoys video games and enjoys playing with trucks and enjoys going outside and getting dirty, and they immediately put her in the box that she's not a girl but actually a boy. Because I'm talking about personal experience, I was very, very, very tomboyish when I was a kid. I used to enjoy whatever my brothers used to enjoy, and I generally thought that I was born in the wrong body at some point when I was a kid, because in my mind, I hated how my mom would see me as weaker than boys. And it is fact, we are weaker, but I hated how my body slowly became weaker than other boys around my age. When I was a kid, I was just as strong as them, and when I became 10, 12, 13, I started becoming weaker, and I hated that. I really hated that. And I started, you know, being more feminine, and I hated that. I wasn't very comfortable with my body. I was like, in my mind, maybe I'm a boy, I don't know. And I hated this part of my body a lot. Now I love it. I enjoy my femininity while enjoying video games, while enjoying running around and jogging and sports, and enjoying makeup as well. And my mom knew that it was just a phase because she kind of went through the same thing. We never really questioned if I was a boy or a girl. They knew I'm a girl, but I love doing boy stuff. I don't see anything problem with my daughter enjoying trucks and loving the color blue and wearing boyish clothes. My mom taught me how to love my body and myself, and how my body is okay and it's okay the way it's developing. And let me tell you, in Lebanon, they love showering girls with love. They're gonna tell her how beautiful she is. A lot of the times, so many times, my dad used to tell me, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. It's not, I still don't feel that beautiful, but I really appreciated that about him, and even my mom tells me that. There's a lot of love to give, especially for the girl. Maybe for guys, parents won't tell them, oh, look how handsome you are. They'd be like other things. But for women, they're gonna be like, look how beautiful you are. Look how even smart you are. They're gonna shower you a lot with compliments, especially girls. I'm not sure, because they think girls are more sensitive or they need more encouragement. I'm not sure what's the reason, but I really appreciated that. I think this is something that I really appreciate in our culture. But at the same time, when you shower someone a lot with compliments, they can be a bit not humble. And I think in Lebanon, some women, that get to their heads and they're gonna become like, I'm so pretty, no one deserves me, that kind of mentality. So I think it is positive and negative at the same time. For me, that did not happen. I still don't think I'm really pretty or whatever. I just think I'm an average looking girl. So I think that's what I wanted to cover. If you guys want a part 2, I have more things to say, but I think the video is getting really long, so I'll cut it here. Let me tell you, if you want to raise your daughter in Lebanon, if you have a few concerns about it, please let me know. I'll let you know how it is. But specifically, I'm talking about my family. I never once felt that I was inferior to my brothers. I think, if anything, that came within me because I didn't like how weak I was becoming, for example. And I really cared about that at some point in my life. Now I don't give a shit. I know I'm weak as shit, and I can't even lift anything, and I'm okay with that. I mean, look at my muscle. I don't even have muscles. You know, if you want me to talk more about how being raised as a girl is in Lebanon, and maybe how living as a woman is in Lebanon, if you want to know more about that. Sorry, most of the times I'm not looking at the camera, I'm like looking at the window for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm doing that. Maybe I don't want to look at myself or the camera, it's weird, but I'm just looking at the window behind you guys. If you like my videos and my content and you want to watch more, subscribe and like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.